Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Application Instructions webinar for the SSBCI Investing in America Small Business Opportunity Program, or SBOP. My name is Carmen Reed, and I will be walking you through the application components. Once you view this webinar, we recommend viewing the second part, which includes a demonstration of the application portal itself. This is just a reminder that this presentation does not contain the full text of the NOFO, application template, or FAQs. We recommend closely reviewing these documents before applying. On this slide, we have a list of the resources that we have posted related to this program. The NOFO, FAQ, one-pager, application template, and application materials have all been posted to our SSBCI website. The assistance listing is also linked here, as well as the Treasury application portal, which is where you will find the SBOP application. We also recommend that applicants review the reporting guidance for our TA grant program, as we anticipate that it reflects similar data collection requirements to this program. Finally, we recommend you review 2 CFR 200, the Uniform Administrative Requirements, cost principles, and audit requirements for federal grants. In terms of the logistics of this program, these are listed on this slide. This is a discretionary grant program with $75 million in funding overall. Treasury anticipates that awards will be in the range of 5 to 10 million, and that larger awards will have a regional focus that involves collaboration between jurisdictions. We've already said this today, but please visit the NOFO for more information and examples about this jurisdictional collaboration and how it will be prioritized in the scoring of applications. Depending on award size, Treasury estimates that it will make between 8 and 15 awards through this funding opportunity. The period of performance can be up to 36 months, but we are expecting this period to be closely tied to the needs of small businesses in the proposed service area. And we will look for this to be clearly articulated in the program design and substance and budget documents. The application deadline is June 3rd, 2024 at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Because this is a competitive grant program, Treasury cannot accept late submissions. All submissions must be made through the Treasury application portal, which is linked on this slide. Before we get started on the application itself, I wanted to review the basic eligibility information for this program. In terms of eligible applicants, the only entities that are able to apply directly to this program are states, territories, DC, and tribal government who have been approved as a participating jurisdiction in the SSBCI Capital Program. Keep in mind, the eligible applicant can be a specific department, agency, or political subdivision of that jurisdiction, but it cannot be an entity that is not legally a part of the jurisdiction. In terms of eligible beneficiaries, this program is designed to serve very small and SETI-owned businesses that are applying for the jurisdiction's SSBCI Capital Program or other federal or jurisdiction small business program. To provide the TA services, a recipient may provide services itself. It may make a subaward to TA service providers. It may contract with third-party legal, accounting, and financial advisory firms to provide TA services, or it may make a subaward to a non-federal entity who will serve as a pass-through entity and contract or subaward with legal, accounting, and/or financial advisory firms to provide TA services. Finally, funds are provided for the provision of legal, accounting, and financial advisory services, intended to help very small businesses and SETI-owned businesses who are applying for SSBCI and other small business programs. This assistance can reflect a wide variety of services that align with the business needs throughout the life cycle of the beneficiary businesses. Now that we've talked about the basics of the program again, let's dive into the documents that make up a complete application. The list on this slide comes directly from the NOFO, and I will be going over each of these documents in the next few slides. In general, an applicant must complete and submit all required documents in order to be considered for funding. The first required document is the applicant letter of designation. This document is required for all applicants, though it takes a slightly different form for joint tribal applicants. The eligible applicant that is the specific department, agency, or political subdivision must submit a designation letter on official letterhead that is signed by the governing official of the jurisdiction. This letter must state or evidence that they have designated the eligible applicant to submit the SBOP application, sign the SBOP grant agreement if approved, receive and disperse SBOP funds if approved, and carry out the grant objectives if approved. The letter should include the title of the SBOP authorized official that is listed in section 4.2 of the application. This letter must be uploaded under section 4.1b of the SBOP application. If the SBOP authorized official has delegated the authority to another official to certify and electronically sign the application on their behalf, documentation evidencing the delegation of authority must be submitted and must include the following: the scope of the delegation, the name and contact information of the officials who has been delegated authority, the effective date of the delegation, and, if applicable, the end date of the delegation, and references to any applicable laws of the jurisdiction that permit the delegation. This document, if applicable, must be uploaded to section 4.2a of the application. Treasury will permit either a non-tribal entity or a tribal affiliated entity to apply for and administer an SBOP grant on behalf of a group of tribal governments. Each tribal government co-applicant must provide designation documentation stating or evidencing that the tribal government has designated the entity to take the following actions on behalf of the tribal government: submit the SBOP application, sign the SBOP grant agreement if approved, receive and disperse funds if approved, and carry out the grant objectives on behalf of the tribal government if approved. You'll notice these are the same requirements as on the delegation letter that we just, or the designation letter that we just talked about. This documentation, if it is applicable, must be uploaded to section 4.1a of the application. The next and perhaps most important of the required documents is the program design and substance, which is the document that clearly describes the applicant's plan for providing TA services. This document should be a maximum of 15 pages, meaning that information past the 15th page for this document only will not be considered. In order to be considered for scoring, the program design and substance must include the sections listed on this slide. That is, an executive summary, description of project service area and potential to connect eligible businesses to opportunities, proposed solution, key partners and project support, organizational capacity and experience, and finally, performance goals and measures. These sections are all described in detail in the NOFO as well as in the application portal. We recommend that you review the detailed descriptions of each section before composing your program design and substance. This document must be uploaded under Section 5 of the SBOP application in the portal. There are two budget sections in the application portal. Section 6.1, which will be shown in more detail in part 2 of this webinar, is designed to mirror the standard form SF42 or the standard form 424A. Additionally, applicants must provide a budget narrative, which is on Treasury's budget narrative template. This template can be found on the application materials section of our website, as well as within Section 6.2 of the application portal. The applicant must identify and explain how funds in each line item of the budget will be used to support the SBOP project. Please closely review 2 CFR 200 subpart E and section D2B4 of the NOFO to determine the allowability of costs. If you choose to include matching funds in your budget, you must clearly identify them in your budget narrative and in the budget information part of section 6.1. Matching funds that are not clearly identified and are not documented will not count towards scoring. Additionally, if your budget utilizes a current negotiated indirect cost rate agreement, you must upload the corresponding documentation in section 6.1 of the application. As I mentioned on the previous slide, if an applicant includes non-federal matching funds in the project budget, such funds must be documented in the budget. In addition, all sources of such funds must be documented by a letter of commitment. This letter or letters must come from each provider of the funds and must clearly state the amount and state or evidence that funds are available, committed, and unencumbered. What does this mean? Well, for example, funds cannot be subject to board approval based on future performance. They must be available for the project and fully committed upfront. Matching funds that do not have corresponding letters of commitment will not be considered in the application review process. Let me repeat, if you include matching funds in your budget, you must include matching commitment documentation for every dollar of this funding in order for it to count during scoring. These letters must be uploaded to section 6.3 of the application in order to be considered. Next, you will need to upload the assurances of compliance with civil rights requirements and the Title VI narrative form. The assurances of compliance with civil rights requirements is required for all states, territories, and DC. This form outlines the legal requirements related to non-discriminatory use of federal funds, where such laws are applicable to a recipient and any subrecipient or contractor operating program activities on the recipient's behalf. This form should be uploaded to section 7.2 of the application. In addition, any state, DC, or territory that is recommended for funding will be required to undergo a Title VI of the Civil Rights Act pre-award compliance review. To complete this review, applicants are asked to complete the Title VI narrative form. This form is not required at the time of application, so an applicant will not be rejected for not uploading this form at the time of application. However, all state, territory, and DC applicants are recommended to upload this form at the time of application in order to expedite the review and award process. If submitting at the time of application, please upload this form to section 7.2a. All applicants must review, sign, and submit the SBOP assurances and certifications. As you will see in part 2 of this webinar, these represent 2 separate forms and must be uploaded to section 7.3 of the application. Standard form LLL, the disclosure of lobbying activities, is required for any applicant who has lobbying activities to disclose. If an applicant does not have lobbying activities to disclose, there is a checkbox in section 7.1 allowing applicants to opt out of this requirement. Applicants should only check this box if it is truly not applicable due to not having any lobbying activities to disclose. If this form is required, it must be uploaded to section 7.1 of the application. Finally, applicants may provide documents that substantiate elements of their application and their ability to successfully execute the project. These documents may include letters from other jurisdictions demonstrating a plan to coordinate on a regional approach. You should see section C.1 of the NOFO for examples of how this might work. Additionally, applicants may include letters of partnership support, which detail the specific roles and responsibilities of engaged project partners. These documents, though not required for a complete application, may help an application to score more favorably in merit review. Applicants should not include information not related to their application. If this information is to be included, it should be uploaded in section 8 of the application. Now that concludes part 1 of the application webinar. We do recommend that you review part 2 as well for the application demo. Thank you so much for your time today, and please let us know, as always, if you have any questions.